Last Sunday was Super Bowl 55, and in the Hood household, we tend to have spirited discussions not just about the game, but all about the commercials and how good or bad they are. So, today I want to share some secrets with you on how you can better market your course using the Super Bowl secrets.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here's your host, Julie Hood.
So my son works in an advertising agency, so he always has an opinion about the Super Bowl commercials and what makes them work or not work. And then each year I pull together some sales lessons from the commercials. And today I want to share them with you so you can use these same ideas to help sell more of your online courses. And if you missed some of these commercials, if you didn't catch them during the game, I'll try to link to them in the show notes at coursecreatorshq.com/29 so you can watch the ones that you might have missed. Lesson number 1 is to know your buyer. And this actually came from a pregame commercial that I thought was really well done. And Dawn and Swiffer were talking about how messy our homes are right now because of coronavirus and all the people at home. And they had these great shots of how messy everything was. But what really struck me from that commercial is they were focusing on the fact that together we can tidy up, and they were focusing on the fact that not just one person in the family, technically probably the mom, should be the one that is responsible for cleaning up. The entire family was responsible for it, and that's a perfect message for their buyer, which is usually moms who are doing the shopping. So I thought they did a great job of knowing what message would resonate with the audience that they were trying to reach. So that's your first lesson, is to make sure you know about your buyer and you know what will work with them. Lesson number 2 was also from the pregame, and it's about building anticipation for what you have coming. So several times during the pregame show, they said, tune in for a special moment before the kickoff. And it got my attention. It made me wonder, what's that going to be? And I think it was the goal was a special commercial that they did right before the kickoff. And it worked because it made me pay attention. So that's lesson number 2. Build anticipation. Talk about your course with your email list. Talk about what's coming. Talk about what you're working on. Get your audience listening and involved and build anticipation for what you've got coming. Lesson number 3 is to use contrast and juxtaposition with your messaging. So what I mean here is to make things stand out because they're so different and there's such a contrast. So the first message that this came through, first commercial, was the Logitech commercial, where they were talking, first of all, they were talking about creators, which obviously got my attention with Course Creators HQ. And they were sort of describing what creators are and how they're told that, oh no, we can't do that. And creators always say, oh yes, we will. So they got me emotionally invested in what they were saying. And then they said that we defy logic, but the brand name is actually Logitech. So I thought that was a really great combination of not logic and Logitech. It was a good message. The second commercial that also did this really well was the Squarespace commercial with Dolly Parton singing about doing a side hustle from 5 to 9. Because for those of you who have heard her original song, it was talking about working from 9 to 5, and Squarespace was talking about the side hustle from 5 to 9. So I thought that was a great contrast, and the way they put that one together. And then the third one, there was contrast between in the Jimmy John's commercial, and Brad, that is the actor, was portraying sort of a Godfather-like sandwich guy. And he was the opposite of what Jimmy John's is. So that contrast I thought was a pretty well done too. So use contrast whenever it can help you make your message stand out. That's lesson number 3. Lesson number 4 is to save the message for the end. So there was a really fantastic commercial with all the Sesame Street characters, and they were singing the Sesame Street song about in your neighborhood. But nowhere through most of the commercial did they talk about what brand was actually involved. And at the very end, then you realize it's from DoorDash. So whenever it fits, save the best part, save the message that you're trying to get across, save it for the very end. If you can keep people engaged all the way through, then they'll see your message, your branding at the very end. Number 5 was also from this commercial, and it was talking about supporting a charity. So they were donating $1 to the Sesame Street organization for, I think it was for every order that was done on DoorDash. So if there's a way that you can work in some kind of charitable organization into your messaging, that's another really good way to possibly grab some buyers that you wouldn't normally catch. And then number 6, it's kind of an obvious one, making me laugh. Whenever you can do that with your messaging, it can be get the attention of your audience. And the M&M's I'm sorry commercial towards the beginning I thought was pretty funny, with all the people saying they were I'm sorry and giving M&M's. And then the one that I thought was also one of my favorite ones was a flat Matthew McConaughey. Instead, he was a 2D Matthew, and the commercial was actually for Doritos 3D. So when he finally ate the 3D Doritos, he was no longer flat and became 3D. So I thought that messaging matched pretty well, and also made me laugh. So number 7, the lesson is to repeat your message a lot. And there were a couple different commercials that did this really well. So Paramount Plus Network did multiple commercials throughout the entire Super Bowl. And their logo is a mountain. And so their commercials were all about being on this mountain with a bunch of the characters from the different shows that are going to be on the Paramount Network when it launches. And they even use the phrase a mountain of entertainment. And they told a story through their commercials through the night. Tide did this last year, and so it's a technique that's been used before through the Super Bowl commercials. And I think for an audience that is definitely paying attention to you, that sequence of messaging and repetitive messaging reaches your audience and gets the message across. The second one who did this was the Rocket Mortgage commercial, and they were talking about whether or not you should be pretty sure. And they kept going over, well, I'm pretty sure this, and I'm pretty sure that, and I'm pretty sure this, and they were all really terrible things. But with Rocket Mortgage, certain is better. And so by the end, the people in the commercial were deciding that certain is better, so they went with Rocket Mortgage. But repeating that pretty sure message over and over was a good attention grabber. So that's lesson number 7, is to repeat your message a lot more than you probably want to. And lesson number 8 was used at least 3 different times, possibly more. And that is to make sure that you're always including a call to action, that you're telling your audience what you want them to do next. So in the Bud Light commercial, they linked at the end to BudLightLegends.com. The Jimmy John's commercial said the Jimmy John's story continues at JimmyJohns.com. The Jeep commercial towards the end, they also linked to Jeep.com/the road ahead. So they were being very, very specific at getting their audience to go to a certain place. Not only does it tell your listeners or your readers or your viewers what to do next, it also is a really fantastic way for you to track what's going on and what they like. So that's one of my favorite reasons for using links, is because you can tell how many times people click it. So on my website, I use a plugin called Pretty Links, and you guys will see, I'm always giving you links to different things at CourseCreatorsHQ.com. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to know what you click on. I want to know what you like, what's most interesting to you, because then I can do more of that or do less of the things that you don't like. And I think this is a really good way, especially for beginners, to know what's working, is at least have some kind of tracking of your links so you know what's working and what's not. And then lesson number 9 is to have a really clear slogan or message that attracts your specific audience. So Indeed did a commercial, and their slogan is, "We help people get jobs." And then their commercial repeated this over and over again, and then they inserted different phrases for people. So it was, "We help the inexperienced get jobs. We help the qualified get jobs. We help the blah blah get jobs." But they repeated that "we help get jobs" over and over again. So it was a great way to brand their specific slogan and their message about getting people jobs. So lesson number 10 is to tell stories, and T-Mobile had a really fantastic story from the stars of The Voice of how Gwen Stefani actually met country singer Blake Shelton. It was via a phone call with Adam Levine, and I just thought they did a really good story around how that happened, and it also tied into T-Mobile with the messaging breaking up on a phone because they weren't using T-Mobile. And anyway, you have to watch it to completely get it. But the goal was that telling stories will pull your reader or your listener into what you're doing and carry them through to the end. And then the last lesson that I have to share with you, number 11, is to tap into emotions and then inspire me by what you're saying. And so Jeep did this when they were talking about the reunited states. I thought they were tapping into some emotions that are going on right now. And Budweiser had a really good emotional commercial about how it's never just about let's have a beer. If someone has something going on, it's not about the beer. It's about the let's have a beer together. So I hope these ideas inspire you to help with your marketing messages. And obviously the commercials are way more than just having super celebrities promoting their products. The people who are putting these together are spending some time thinking about how they're going to reach their audience, what kinds of things are going to stand out, what will get them attention. So I'll run through the 11 again and have them in the show notes at CourseCreatorsHQ.com/29. Number 1 is to know your buyer and what resonates with them. Number 2 is to build anticipation. Number 3 is to use contrast and juxtaposition. Number 4 is to save your key message for the end. Number 5 is to support a charity. Number 6 is to make me laugh. Number 7 is to repeat your message a lot. Number 8 is to include a very specific call to action. Tell me what to do next. Send me to links so you can track them. Number 9 is to have a very clear slogan or message that attracts your audience. Number 10 is to tell stories that engage. And number 11 is to tap into emotions and inspire. So I hope you enjoyed this little run through of the Super Bowl 55 commercials and how you can use them to better sell your courses. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate you. If you're interested in determining whether your online course is a good idea or not, I highly recommend that you grab our freebie at CourseCreatorsHQ.com/idea. That's coursecreatorshq.com/idea. And it's a free training that will help you evaluate your course idea to see if it's any good or not. So thanks so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. And I so appreciate your reviews. Thank you for reviewing. They make my day. I get them by email every time they're posted. And so I do a little happy dance in my office for every one of the 5-star reviews. So if you got something fun today, if you enjoyed these, if you got a lesson that you might be able to apply to your business, please let us know with a 5-star review. Thanks again. Have a fantastic week, and be sure to join us over the next couple weeks. I have some really fun episodes coming, and I cannot wait to share them with you, but I can't talk about them just yet. So I'm building a little anticipation. So catch you next week. Have a fantastic one. Take care, everyone. Talk to you then.